Hi, this is Sharon, and today I want to talk about getting started with direct mail campaigns with a small budget. I got this question recently, and it's really an excellent topic because people just don't know where to start when they have a small budget of, let's say, $500. And then what do you do when you have an increased budget of $1,000 to $1,500? So I'm going to focus strictly on those parameters today. Now, things that you need to begin with are a website, a separate phone line, business cards, and thank you cards. Those are four basics. Now, people will say you can get by without a website. Yes, you can. But when people ask you, where's your website? Remember, this is your credibility. So I don't think you should not have a website. You can build one yourself. You can do that maybe if you're a web developer, but you can also get a done for you website for something around $100 a month. And this is what I recommend because they are proven lead generation websites. People have spent a lot of money, designing these, testing these, and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. I've built websites and maybe you have too, but did they get me leads? Not so much. So that's the first thing that I think is really important. Now, the company that I like is Carrot, and you can get a website for around $100 a month, about 89 to 118, depending on which website you choose. And what I like about this company too is one, it's out of the box. You can have your website up and running in maybe an hour, just plug and play, putting in your address and those sorts of things. And you can make a different choice, go up to a different plan as your business grows. You could also alternatively say, I don't really need this much of a robust program, so I'd like to back it down to the beginning tier. So you can do that. Now, number two is a phone line. I think it's a terrible idea to have people calling you on your regular cell phone that your family and friends call you on when you're a real estate investor. I don't think it's a good idea if they know where you live. So for that reason, I think you should have a separate phone line. Now, there are a couple of choices. You can do Google Voice. That's one choice. And you can do a Sideline, which is the one I have, or some other really low cost to free versions of having an extra phone line. Now, the main difference in Google Voice and Sideline and some of those other apps that you put on your phone is the way they work. Google Voice is a web-based system. So if your internet is down, you won't get phone calls. That was one reason I moved away from Google Voice many years ago. Plus, I was always having to sign into Google Voice and see who called and all of that. For me, it just works to have it all in one phone. And like I said, the app I use is called Sideline, and currently here in April of 2024, it's about $15 a month. It's rings right on your cell phone, but it says that it's a sideline call. You have a different phone number. So you can use this on all of your marketing, and making the decision about your phone line is important to do right in the beginning, because you're going to want to put that phone number on your website, on your business cards, on your marketing pieces. And if you can keep that separate, it's much easier to track also. But that's a personal choice. You can get started with Google Voice, which I believe is still completely free. So business cards, folks, 2024, you still need business cards, and you can use, there are so many companies out there that do nice business cards. The one I have always used is called Vistaprint. Now, I checked just before hopping on this call, and you can still get about 500 cards for around $30. Now, they get you in there and they want to upsell you on higher finishes, and do you want shiny, or do you want this, or do you want that? But somewhere around $30, $40, $50, beginning at 30, you can totally get 500 business cards. But somewhere in that range, depending on exactly what you want, you can get your business cards. And I really would not get less than 500, because if I remember correctly, to get about 200 or 250 is like $20. There's not that much of a price difference in the cards. You need business cards when you hand them out. You'll hand them out to people when you go look at their property. You will put them in thank you cards, which I will talk about in a minute. When you're at a RIA meeting and you meet another investor and maybe a potential partner, you need to be able to hand them a business card. And your business card should have your picture on it. That's another tip. Sometimes, especially if you're at a large gathering, you won't necessarily be able to recall someone's name, but you'll remember what they look like. So be sure and have business cards. Now, thank you cards, this might seem a little bit odd to talk about thank you cards, but this is a branding thing that you need to remember. When you make an offer on a property, or when you go to look at a property, even if they said for whatever reason, no, I'm decided 100% to list with an agent, you want to go back and write them a thank you note and say, thank you for showing me your property. Either I look forward to working with you, so you've put a deal together, or if you're listing the property, you can say, send them same thing, send them a thank you card. If you don't get the deal or if you don't get the listing, send the thank you card anyway, because you don't know if their plan A is going to work out. Always include a business card because they may have thrown your last business card away, especially if they didn't like your offer. That's pretty common. But make this a practice, and we're always talking about ways you can stand out in the crowded field. This is one way you can do that. Another tip that I like, some people are not comfortable doing video. There's a great little app that you can put on your phone called Bonjoro. It's Bonjoro. You can pop out your phone. You can also do this on your desktop, but you can send the same message. Hey, it's Sharon. Thank you so much for showing me your property today. I look forward to working with you. Or, I'm sorry we couldn't reach an agreement today, but I'd love to be your plan B if your house doesn't sell, if you don't find another investor, or whatever the excuse was. Just leave the door open to come back. And that is the beauty of thank you cards. People will keep thank you cards and they will keep your information. So be sure and get those. You can get us some really nice white cards that have a printed thank you on the front, where you can handwrite notes on the inside. But be sure and check out Bonjoro, because it is a really cool little tool, and no one is sending video messages. You can send it right to their email from Bonjoro. So those are some costs to start out with. So you would have your website costs, and if you're using a paid phone service, that would be an every month charge. So $100 or a little over $100. Business cards, thank you cards, they are a one-time cost. So let's talk about the next thing that you need. And I'm going to look here at my notes real quick. You need to get a list. You want a list of probates opened. You do not want a list of pre-probates. You want probates that are actually in the process, so that you can actually buy the property. Now, let's say, for instance, and we're still talking about a $500 budget. So we've had a couple of one-time costs, and now we've got a little over $100 if we'll assume you're using a paid website and you are using something like Sideline or one of the other apps. And you can ask around, and people can tell you, what they're using. So you've got that cost. Now, if you want to get a list, and you do need a list, I have a resource for that. You should go back 6 months when you're getting started. 50 names a month times 6 months, and that's just an example, would be 300 names. And it costs about 30 cents a lead, 30 cents a name to get this list. So you're talking about $90. Now, if you go up a little bit in numbers or go down a little bit, that will change. But you'll still be roughly in this $500 range by the time you add on your mailing. So at $500, again, you would have the cost of your website and the phone line, the thank you notes. the other things that we talked about, plus you would have your cost of your list and then the cost of your mail piece. Today, that cost for a white computer generated letter is going to be about $1.25, depending on what you choose and which company you choose. I like Open Letter Marketing. That's just the company that I like. But you can use any company that you want to use. So if you're spending $75 to $90 or so on your list, you're doing 250 to 300 names people mailed to every month, then you're looking at around $300-ish or a little bit more. So that's what you can do in general for a smaller budget. Now, you want to get to where you can scale up to 800 or 1,000 names. That's just in an average market of 1 million people. Like I'm in Louisville. So Louisville and the surrounding counties, you'll be in the million-ish numbers. If you're in Chicago, you're in a much larger market. So you would be choosing smaller geographic areas. But in Louisville, Kentucky, by the time I narrowed down my list, I took off the people that I didn't want. Maybe the houses were not in neighborhoods that were appealing to me. Zip codes, I took out certain zip codes, and I also removed certain higher priced houses, which might still be a good lead if you're a real estate agent. That might be a property that you would want to list. So depending on whether your focus is as an investor or as a realtor will kind of determine how all these pieces fit together. But in my area, I could not ever get my list up over to more than about 800 people over 12 rolling months. Some come off, every month, and then you add new names every month, but there are new probates every month. So your list is constantly in flux. But from a perspective of direct mail results, I want to talk about that a little bit. So it depends on where you look, the results that people say you're getting. I saw a statistic today that was from a marketing company that said within real estate, they're getting a 3.8% return. That has not been my experience. It's been my experience in the past recent years that is more of in the 2% range. So let's just do some simple math here for a minute. If you are sending, let's say you've built up to 1,000 names. We'll just use that nice round number. And the return on investment, the return that you're getting, the calls you're getting from these mailings is 2%. That means you're going to get 20 calls each time you send out 1,000 letters once you've gotten the ball rolling and gotten some traction there. Well, on those 20 calls, you would expect to maybe find 4 or 5 tops probably that would be a potential lead. And out of that, maybe get 1 or 2 properties. Again, this varies greatly. I know someone in Chicago that's had great results on a list of 700. So it's going to vary on how good your list is, how good your area is, and on the consistency of your mailing and all of these pieces aligning to come together. But that's why if you want to get out of that 200, 300, 400 list as quickly as you can, because you just will not get the scalability very fast on your list. So that's the reason for that. Understand that about 81% of your deals, not your calls, your deals will come at or beyond your 5th mailing. Now, if you've ever read the book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, he talks about how things build like a tumbleweed. Every month, one thing builds on another, and that's the way direct mail marketing works. If you are doing this properly and you are adding new names every month, look at the big picture. In month 5, somebody will always be in month 5 if you're adding new people every single month. That's the way it works. Now, does that mean you won't get any deals any other time? No, it doesn't. You can get a deal from any one of those first mailings. It just means statistically that it's going to be slower. Now, when it comes to your competition, I always say mail everybody every month, so long as the probate is still open. And this goes for any type of mailing that you're doing. Mail everybody every month, unless you're doing something that's very different, like pre-foreclosures, where you would mail more often than that. You mail more often, but for a shorter period of time. But we'll just stick to probate. So uh, your competition, all those people out there that you think are your competition, they are going to quit by and large on or before the third mailing. 90% of your perceived competition will quit on or before the third mailing. So just start where you are, start with the $500 budget, get things set up, get used to answering the phone and talking to people. I like to say, make your mistakes in the beginning so that when you get a really good deal that comes your way, you're comfortable talking to people. You are comfortable making offers. So just look at that as a little bit of a time of learning. The other thing I would say is really look at every single lead that comes in the door, because when leads are plentiful, it's easy to step over ones that are going to be harder. When there are less available properties, you'll have less available opportunities to buy the property. You need to get better at looking at the whole picture and saying, how can I make money off of this deal? If it doesn't work for you as a buy and hold or for a listing, maybe it will work for a wholesaler. Maybe if you're a real estate agent, it's not a property you want to list. It's not in a great area, but you know someone that does actually buy property in that area. So really look at each lead, start with your $500 budget, and then scale up as you can to $1,000, $1,500 or more. Once you get to where you can scale up to above $1,500, maybe even $1,000, you're going to want to add some other lists to your direct mail campaigns in most areas. Geographically, you will have so many probates. So that kind of depends on your general population. So I hope this makes sense to you. I have a blog post on the Louisville Gals Real Estate blog, and the title is something like Numbers and Statistics Aren't Sexy, but Results Are. So if you go over to the blog and type in the word sexy, exactly one post will come up, and it will be that one. But I go over the numbers and the percentages of the return per month, how it grows. But the real key here is what I've always tried to drive home, and that is consistency. Consistency with your mailing, with your mail piece, and tight list. So that's the secret to direct mail. Let me know if you have any questions. You can email me at sharon@sharonvornholt.com, and I'll be back soon with another video for you. Thanks for watching.